Everything you do breaks down into some series of steps, a beginning, middle, and end. And if you want to achieve more and accomplish more, understanding this concept is critical. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. If you want to go someplace, let's say you're going to take a trip. You're going to go to the beach this weekend. That is your end result. That is your destination. Now, I'm going to share a little bit of what I learned from Stephen Covey and a little bit what I learned from Dan Kennedy as far as outcome management. But ultimately, knowing where you want to go makes it easier to get there because you can work backwards and establish a plan. You can literally write a plan to do just about anything. Now, what I've learned from my own experiences, being kind of an analytical type of guy, understanding things like the software development lifecycle, SDLC, is that you can always develop a beginning, middle, and end. Now, if you're creating a product, you might produce a minimum viable product. And that product will have where do we want the product to look like? What are the basic requirements? What do we got to do to get there? And what resources do we have to get started? And then you can do a gap analysis between those points. And I'll give you in the beach analogy. You want to go to the beach this weekend. What beach do you want to go to? What are the characteristics of a beach? Which beaches are open? Which beaches are seasonal? Right now, it's starting to get pretty cool. Myrtle Beach may not be the best beach to go to because the temperatures are cooling down. But what kind of activities do you want to do? Well, see, you build out this criteria by establishing an outcome desired and then using questions to develop the context of that outcome. And then once you've decided where you want to go, let's say we're going to go to Virginia Beach. I've got relatives in Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach in the off season, you can you stay in a hotel and get some great amenities. And if you catch the off season right after everything's been going on, you can still get a lot of the service quality because they haven't staffed down. So that's context of understanding what I want. I want a no hassle vacation without a lot of distractions, and I can good quality service and experience. In order for me to get there, I've got to look at my travel plans. I've got to look at the constraints. So that has a time constraint that I need to be concerned about. Because there's a time constraint, that gives me an idea when I need to get started with my planning, when I need to get started with the trip. There'll be conditions like, do I need a house sitter? Do I need someone to check my mail? Do I need to stop my mail? I can build out all of these questions in the middle stage before I then look at my current state of funding or my current state of project availability or what kind of work can I take with me and make the trip a tax deduction. And the point I'm making here is that no matter how complex the activity, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if you look at the end result that you desire, contextualize the end result using questions, you can do the same thing for the middle and the beginning. Now, sometimes you're going to have a few more steps, but here's the benefit of this activity. And this is a Stephen Covey type thing. If you begin with the end in mind, you kind of bridge the gap so much faster. You don't have to worry about the 15 different things that have to happen to get started. You don't have to worry about the 35 things that you need to think about once you're going. I don't need to worry about a traffic light if I'm driving to Virginia Beach. I don't have to worry about a traffic light in Franklin County until I get there. All I simply have to know is that I'm going to travel 58 through Franklin County. And, if I want to go to Fred's and get something to eat, I can plan that out on the trip. I don't have to worry about the tire pressure as we're progressing from point A to point B. And I see this as a problem. Many of our complex working environments that the high-income professionals and entrepreneurs face, folks get down in the weeds. They get worried about all these little tiny details. If they simply put the end in mind. Now, what kind of end do you want? Well, that's why I go to Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy's Renegade Millionaire System talks about outcome management or opportunity management rather than time management or money management. See, the outcome you desire can be used you can contextualize the outcome you desire to determine how much money or how much time you're going to need. You can contextualize the deliverables of a project in order to determine where you're going to focus your activity. See, these baseline elements, these fundamentals drive forward the outcomes you're looking for. They drive forward the influence, the leverage of relationships, the production of your every hour, because instead of worrying about the thing you're doing this second, you've built up a plan that guides your effort. Now, what's great about a plan? Well, I've written a number of plans for clients. I've put together plans for activities, large projects and small. I used to manage a portfolio of $32 million of data array installations and data centers all over the United States. They were literally dropping $1.5 million in equipment every single solitary day. We had to worry about the floor spacing, the amount of electricity used by the item, what items were going to come out, what business applications were on the servers that were coming out, or the storage that was coming out, what storage was coming in, what was this. But see, we didn't worry about all that. We recognized that it was about landing storage in data centers and requirements of our users and their current situation. That's 3 steps. Now, within those 3 steps, of course, we had mapped out flow charts and plans and control activities and monitoring activities, and we had KPIs and metrics. But to get started, folks, and that's really what it's about, implementation and getting started, we just started with a basic plan. You want storage landed in a data center on this date. What kind of storage do you want landed on a data center this date? What kind of storage do you currently have? Now, we didn't functionally start with that. We outlined that on paper because there are critical factors you have to consider. In the case of the data storage, we had to look at and solve the problem for internal costing of the storage. A lot of businesses were getting storage that was high performance storage when it wasn't necessary, and it was actually very expensive storage when it wasn't necessary. So we would build models. So as you start working on your plan, you might build a specific model to do something and add that to your plan. You might look at milestones or adjustments in your plan based on conditions you see as you get down the path. The key is a plan can be written. I've written a number of plans for everything from building up your customer base to positioning yourself in a marketplace as an expert, to leveraging relationships in political environments, and much more. I'm even looking at instructions and procedures from a local fraternal organization that I'm in that basically covers conditions and then the response for conditions. You'll find this in your local emergency response team and your first aid training classes. The key and the takeaway of what I'm sharing with you today is that this plan ought to be written down. If you're going to start an important project, write a simple plan. And then that simple plan is cataloged with all of the other important work that you've got to do. That way you can prioritize. You may have common factors like, is this project worth monetary factors? Does this project make me money? You might be looking at, is this project required by an outside agency or a regulator? You might be looking at, does this project provide for me personal satisfaction and growth? And we talk about this in detail in my project portfolios program, where we actually look at using these categories to set up a decision matrix to know which projects you should focus on. But let's go one step further. Not only when you get the project started, you can use this kind of decision-making criteria or this kind of questioning to make sure you're working on the right activities in the project to get the right work done. So this is application of a simple concept, which is keeping the end in mind and managing your outcomes rather than all of the inputs or the potential inputs. And finally, number 3 is to get started right now. It is possible to start moving towards a goal and objective with an imperfect plan. A lot of you guys are already moving towards objectives with imperfect plans. In fact, some people move towards objectives with no plan at all. Well, if you simply look at, and this is a profit pattern, beginning, middle, and end. What do we got to do first? What do we got to do next? And what do we got to do at the end, the deliverable? And if we start with the deliverable and work our way backwards, in order to achieve, have, or do this particular item, where do we need to be? That's the middle. And where are we now? Folks, what I share here at Inside Strategic Relations are building blocks for outcomes. I've been able to produce in my career, and my clients have been able to produce amazing things that outsiders don't believe are possible, things that the average person out there just don't understand. This makes us highly desirable in the marketplace. It helps us solve problems. And in many cases, it makes us look like we're genius or like we've done something significant. But what happens is over time, you're able to optimize your own behavior to produce maximum outputs. It's like installing automation. You have to design the automation. The very fastest automation doing the wrong things is as good as having no automation at all. What I'm sharing with you here is a mental construct that helps you take a desired outcome, break it down into its component parts at a high level, and then drill down on the relevant portions of that high level in order to get the outcomes that you desire. Like, for example, you may break down a large project and decide that, so if I chose a beach in Florida, I have the option of driving there, and there's certain things that need to be done to prepare for driving to Florida if it's a 3 or 4 hour drive, or I could fly. Flying is literally outsourcing my transportation in this, which makes it so I don't have to worry about a lot of details. I don't have to worry about, am I driving my vehicle or someone else's vehicle? Am I going to pay cash for fuel, or am I going to stop at certain gas stations to give me cash back? Or am I going to, get a driver and take a small minibus or something down to Florida? What kinds of risks are along the way? There's storms going on, right? I don't have to worry about any of that. I can simply just, if the flight's going, I get on a flight and go. And so I hope I've given you some very simple very simple concepts to understand, beginning, middle, and end. Start with the end in mind, and to manage the outcomes. What is it that I want? What is it that you want? And then I hope I've given you some tools to get started right now. If I have failed in any way to deliver to you something that is easy to understand and easy to use right now, please ask your questions. You can visit me at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. I'm Justin Hitt. I'm here to help you transform business relationships into profits. This literally means that you can achieve anything that you desire. You better think big, because when you simply identify what it is that you want, you can quickly move towards it. Now, there's no guarantee you're going to get exactly what you want, but using these processes, questioning for context, building out models, establishing a pattern, you'll find that anything that you want to achieve, you can produce a plan. And here's where you get started. Again, thanks for listening. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. Be sure to visit us at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. Thanks for listening.